Welcome to the official catch-up. Today I've got Brian McLean off Greenock Morton. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Chris. Good. How's yourself?
Yeah, doing great. Obviously, how you been sort of keeping during lockdown?
Surviving. I've got two young kids, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so it's probably more intense being at home than what it usually is at training. But no, to be honest, enjoying the sort of focused family time and trying to make the best of the situation. But I mean, as the weeks tick on, then they're just itching to get back to some sort of normality. So hopefully things get released a little bit quicker than normal.
Brilliant. And in terms of your fitness, obviously you've kind of been obviously limited with lockdown. You can still go for your runs and stuff. How you sort of finding that?
Yeah, not too bad actually. I find it actually a good release just to try and get a bit of normality with like putting your body through different sessions and all that. So I'm quite fortunate. I've got living a decent area with a pitch up the back. So I go there pretty much every other day. Bought some gym equipment, spin bike, in the garage and that. So I've kind of sort of trying to renovate that into a home gym. But all in all, I mean, I think I've pretty much taken 3 days off in a row maximum, and done something every other day just to keep myself ticking over and maintain my levels. Thankfully, I'm still tuned in at the moment.
Brilliant, Brian. And we've seen obviously a return from the sort of top leagues on TV. The Bundesliga, where the English Premiership obviously came back. Is it tough for as much as we appreciate football being back? Is it sort of tough as a player to not be able to even train at the moment?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, see, as a professional footballer, you want that routine, you want that structure in your life, and see when that's taken away, it can knock you for six and totally disorientate you. And I mean, at the moment, I think pretty much every player, albeit some of us are still getting paid through the furlough agreement with the government, which is fantastic. But others that aren't, then it's like we're all unemployed pretty much. You don't have a club, you're not training, there's no work for you to do. So we all pretty much crave that structure, and I think that's the biggest thing is not having that structure, that routine, that getting up in the morning, if you're full time, going in, training, get your breakfast, seeing the lads, having that interaction, and it's almost like a pressure cooker when you're being in your own house, when you're confined to that sort of small space. Thankfully, we've got a back garden which the kids can run about in and get outdoors with the decent weather. But others that are living in apartments, then it must be relatively tough. But yeah, it's quite hard now, and you just want to see a little bit of light. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things go according to plan with the different changes and phases 2 and 3 for the Premiership, and if that managed to sort of progress well enough, then the Championship, League One and Two, can get back to some sort of training and playing schedules and fixtures from that.
Yeah, and we obviously saw some of the SPFL teams, returning to training obviously. So hopefully there is a wee bit of light for the likes of the Championship, League One, League Two, and obviously non-league. One thing I usually ask, Brian, especially the players, I guess it's a wee bit different with yourself because obviously your dad was obviously your dad Stuart was a Kilmarnock legend, and your brother Stephen's obviously a top referee in Scotland. Did you have much choice other than to be involved with football?
No, I mean it just came very naturally to me, and it was an easy thing for me to do. I think when I was younger, my dad had his sort of testimonial down at Rugby Park against Rangers, and Graham Souness was the captain that night, and I'm down there watching, just overawed by it all. And me and my brother being the mascots, it was brilliant. And then from that point, it's just sort of a domino effect, just ticked over, and playing for a youth team in the local area, Crookford. My dad sort of helped out periodically with that. My dad was at Kilmarnock under 18, so I mean every weekend I would go. Me and my brother would go with my dad and watch the games, kick the ball about behind the goals, and be in and around that football environment. And from an early age, it just sort of got me straight away. And fortunately enough, I'd done enough to earn a contract with Rangers. I signed an S form back in the days. I don't think you've got that nowadays, but when I was 12, I signed an S form for them, and I went through the youth ranks with them, and got to sort of 16. Thankfully, I completed at school as well, which was great. I was the youngest of my year, so I managed to get a good bit of education behind me as well before going into full-time football as such. At 16 with Rangers, with John Brown being my manager and my coach, and then you get boys like Stevie Smith, Charlie Adam, Ross McCormack, Chris Burke, all the sort of youth players coming through the ranks, and gradually just worked away and just keep chiseling a career out. And thankfully, I'm at the age of 35 now. I've overcame 2 serious knee injuries early on in my career, but I mean, given the current climate, and for being a young player at the moment, it is so tough, especially now with this pandemic. But hopefully we can manage to get through this, especially having all 42 clubs intact. That's got to be the goal. But being 35, I'm at the tail end of my career, but still enjoying it. Still feel as if I've got a lot to offer, which is the main thing.
Brian, that's good to hear. And obviously, you obviously touched on your career there, and you have played in the highest levels, obviously Scotland, with teams like Motherwell and Dundee United, Falkirk, Ross County. You've obviously been at the likes of Preston North End, and you've played abroad in Iceland and Brunei and stuff like that. And a pretty decent career, as you say, for a guy that has had injuries and stuff like that. One thing I would say though was that obviously in terms of your internationals, you played for like the Scottish sort of youth teams under 17s and stuff like that. But unfortunately, there was a bit of an admin error when you chose to play for Northern Ireland. And what was the sort of thinking behind it? Was it a difficult choice to choose Northern Ireland over Scotland?
No, it was very straightforward. I was delighted to get a call. At the time I was on loan at Motherwell, and I was playing really well under Terry Butcher. He showed a lot of faith in me. Managed to play a lot of minutes, and then got given a shout to go and play for Northern Ireland 21s. Played a couple of games for them, and then got a call up to the first team for a double header friendly against Portugal and Estonia. And that was just overlapping my 21st birthday. So I was on the bench for the game against Portugal with Ronaldo at Windsor Park. So that was good to watch him in person as well, just seeing how he conducts himself in his pre-match routine and the way he is on the pitch as well. It was just brilliant to watch, and I managed to get my hands on Costinha's top as well. He played that night, which was brilliant. So for somebody that was on the verge of turning 21, it was a great experience. And then a couple of days later, I turned 21, and then I was on the bench for Estonia. I came on, played the second half at right back. It was snowing that night, so that was just at the start of March. And played well. We won the game 1-0. It was a brilliant experience. Overjoyed, family were there, like aunts and uncles were over at the game as well. And then it wasn't until a couple of weeks later that we received word that it was going to get sort of not taken away, but it was going to get sort of rescinded a little bit, because there was the paperwork hadn't been done from the Northern Ireland side. It gets sent over from the SFA side, because I'd played a couple of international games with the Scottish setup in competitive games, and they had to sort of transfer paperwork over by the time I turned 21, and obviously that didn't get done by the time I had my 21st birthday, so things got revoked, and now I think based on that, I think unfortunately somebody lost their job on that, but they've changed the legislation, I believe, to being 28 years of age now, I think, which is a great thing. Albeit I was on the wrong end of it, and there was nothing that I could do. But I think from that point, once the date or the age got moved to 28, then I could have got recalled to Northern Ireland, albeit it never happened for myself. The sort of boat had sailed, sort of thing. But Yeah, it was bitterly disappointing. I've still got the cap. I've still got the letter from the FA sending their apologies and best wishes. But I mean, at the end of the day, I had that experience. It was more than most. But at the same time, it would have been a great thing for me to sort of enhance my career and build upon, which wasn't the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, Brian, obviously you mentioned the experience, which is fantastic. I was reading that and was feeling a wee bit gutted for you just having read it. But you mentioned obviously like Ronaldo and that stuff. That'd be some experience for any player, I think. And I think mentioning your career, obviously you kind of said that you're transitioning towards the end of your career now. In terms of your fitness, I know obviously one of the reasons we've got you on is PlayerData. I believe that sort of helped you recently with where you're training.
Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, I touched on the injuries that I had early on in my career, and it just sort of created the awareness of how small little percentages, little gains here and there can add up. And it's something that I've managed to sort of home in on my career, and just the small wins that you can gain throughout the weeks, they build up, doing little 10, 15 minutes here and there. And thankfully I've been invited to become an ambassador for PlayerData, which is just a recently started up company last year. And we're in the process of relaunching our version 2, which is planned to September. But I mean, having all that access and having the data analysts back at the headquarters to dilute and dissect my sessions that I put on myself is fantastic. And for me to sort of work on certain aspects, I mean, obviously I'm not training at the same intensity, so I'm trying to focus more on my sort of running, my sprinting meters to maintain that, because you don't have that sort of regular occurrence in training is what you do Monday to Friday. So being able to sort of see the raw data in front of you, having the sort of comparisons, usually clubs could compare players. Obviously on this with PlayerData, we have an option that you can compare players, but I compare my sessions because I try and repeat sessions periodically, like every sort of 10 days to 2 weeks, and then I can sort of just see my gradual progressions and see how I'm improving. I mean, I'm obviously not going to go back to pre-season until possibly mid-August, so there's no point in me trying to peak just now, but if I can gradually see some sort of increase in my levels, and then PlayerData is a fantastic tool for me to have at my disposal. And when version 2 is in September, then I think it's a fantastic option for clubs up and down the country that's cost effective as well, because I know how saturated the Scottish climate is, albeit the Premiership, they've got so much money, and that's why the Premiership are sort of desperate to finish. But up here it is that bit harder to get things over the line, and PlayerData does show that sort of side to it, where they're there to help clubs. We're here to improve not just clubs in general, but individual performances, and try and help the Scottish game as much as we possibly can. And I mean, sooner or later, it will snowball, and it will go further afield. It will go down south, and people will jump on board without question. And before you know it, I mean, it will just take off, going all around the world. I mean, that's the plans I have for the company, and I'm sure Roy, the CEO, does as well. And I'm just privileged to be a part of that.
That's excellent, Brian. And obviously, you mentioned the benefit to the clubs, and out with the SPFL, I know you guys are, PlayerData has been used in the east of Scotland, the west of Scotland by some clubs. I think it can't be really understated how important the sort of analytic side of the game's coming into it. I noticed Edinburgh Uni and the Lone League are looking for a sort of data analysis lately. Do you think it's going to be a sort of massive part of the game going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it already is,
yeah.
Especially at the elite level. And I think that's something that sort of sets us apart from everybody else, is that we're not just aimed at the big hitters, like the top flight people the ones that can throw loads of money at it. We're here to sort of help everybody across the board, not just Premiership, Champions League teams, and thankfully we've been on board a few junior teams. A lot of interest from the junior side, and then we're gradually sort of progressing up through the leagues, just to make sure that we do polish the product up to make sure it's as consumer and user friendly as possible. We're sort of relaunching the application to make the user interface a lot more accessible and readable for people to interpret. It's just to try and make things a lot simpler for people, because at the end of the day, numbers can go right over the top of people, and I'll hold my hands up. Some of the things that the guys in the office talk about goes right over the top of my head, but when you put it in front of me in sort of layman terms and you break it down to a few simple metrics like the distance covered, high intensity running, your sprinting meters, and you have the sort of comparison graphs, and the way it's laid out is becoming even more slicker, and I'm excited to see what the future holds, albeit it will be a difficult transition because of the current situation with budgets. But again, that's where our pricing system comes into play, with £12 per unit per month, and it's just a fantastic opportunity for clubs to get as much information back about each individual in each session as they can, because that's what people are looking for. People are looking for that 1-2% gains on top of each other to set themselves above everyone else, and everyone's striving for that success, and if we can play a part in that, then we're delighted to do so.
Brian, and obviously you mentioned the sort of financial aspect, but you guys are running a sort of discount at the moment. I think it's the founders program for clubs to basically try the product.
Yeah, so we've got a pre-sale for our founders package for version 2 in September, which is £12 per unit per month, so it's 1 unit per player.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, for a squad of 20 boys, then you're only talking £240 a month, and that covers the whole squad. You submit all the data back to the data analysts, and it gets compiled within 10 minutes and sent back to the club, to the assigned person who's going to look over it. The analysts at PlayerData, they can talk you through how to understand it, how to get to grips with it. And it's just a fantastic model, and the whole structure, the whole plan that's in place for ourselves to enhance the learning as well as the user activity with every club is brilliant. And that's one of the things that sets us apart from everyone else, is that we care. We want people to understand. We don't want people just to use it and then put it to one side, or look at the numbers, but without actually using that and utilising that to their advantage, and preventing injuries, for instance. We've also got live data at the side of the pitch, so you can look at, especially during pre-season, look at your harder sessions compared to your lighter sessions, or even pre-season games, just to make sure that you're up to speed going into the season. And then guys who are struggling with injuries, then you'll probably see their numbers dropping off later on in the game after the hour mark, and it just helps that decision making for the manager, for the coaching staff. And it's not the be all and end all. I mean, it's not going to guarantee you 20-30 goals a season, but it can help you pick up extra 6-10 points a season, just by helping managers make that right decision at the right time, before things gradually get worse, before people start switching off, before fatigue sets in. So it's a great tool for any club to have, and using it firsthand for a number. It's really helped me, and it's really sort of changed the way I look at my training schedule as well. Being 35, I've got to sort of manage my body a little bit better, and it's given me a massive understanding of what I actually put into training, which is great to see, because not many people tell you what you're doing. in training and games, especially in Scottish football.
Brilliant, Brian. That sounds excellent, mate. And in terms of yourself, obviously, we kind of touched on that. You mentioned you're 35 and you're kind of transitioned towards the end of your career. I believe you're sort of completing a university course in sports management, and you're working with the Scottish PFA. Where do you see yourself? Are you wanting to sort of maintain the sort of coaching aspect? Are you hoping to maybe begin coaching, management, etc.?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it is the natural progression for players to go in and do their coaching badges, and I had planned to do my A licence this summer, but things sort of changed last minute, especially with the pandemic, so that wasn't to be. So I might do that next year. I have done this sports management in football, applied management in football course through at Napier University, which the PFA in Scotland sort of helped set up, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It just gave me a better insight in how a football club should be run. Obviously, being clubs in Scotland are run differently at times, yeah. And I mean, things change, situations change. So I mean, it just gave me a great insight in how to try and deal with things. The people that are involved, the outside sources, the sponsors, the shareholders, all sorts. So it was a really, really, really good insight. And then thankfully, being a part of PlayerData as well sort of continues that sort of sports element as well. So I'm definitely keeping my doors open. It would be naive of me to shut any, but if a coaching role did come up into the future, then I would definitely be interested in taking that step for sure. The biggest thing in the world is your family, and I think it was testament to the way my mum and dad were with me growing up. The sacrifices that they made allowed me to sort of get to the point where I am today and have the career that I've had. Like my mum taking me to Ibrox 3-4 times a week for training sessions, the sacrifices that they miss out on just so that I could enjoy my football. And one thing I would encourage any young player, if they're listening, then is to invest in themselves, because if they don't invest in themselves, then no one else will do it for you. You can only help yourself, and if you can invest as much as you possibly can, given this current lockdown scenario, then really home into what you're good at, find your weaknesses, and work on them, and try and give yourself the best options possible to try and give yourself that head start when things get back to normal.
That's a brilliant message, Brian. Brilliant, mate. No, I really appreciate you coming on and speaking to you, obviously, and learning a wee bit, getting an insight into your career, and obviously more of an insight into PlayerData and whatnot. It sounds fantastic. And no, yeah, keep safe, mate, and all the best in the future. I wish you all the best, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to be on board and take part, Chris. All the best for the future, and hopefully speak to you soon.